welcome to the next podcast that we're doing. So today I've got the very lovely Tracy Hampton with me. So Tracy is a good friend of mine. She's also my accountability partner as well, and we do quite a lot of work together. So we do know each other very, very well. So this might come across as two friends having a conversation. But Tracy has a fantastic business that she's running. And she, within Business Boost Academy, she is our digital marketing expert. So Tracy, welcome to the Business Boost Academy podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome. So obviously I know you very, very well. I know your background and everything, but for the people watching, how did you end up becoming a digital marketing guru?
Okay, how long have we got? So, so how far are we going back from when I started the business?
Yeah,
Or
you can do
yeah.
as far back as you want.
So, well, I originally started. It was Hampton Business Services, and I was going to be a VA. Was my plan, and I had a couple of clients. I was working part time whilst I was building the business. And then my husband's company at the time, who I had done some work with previously, came to me and said, "Great, you're out on your own. Can you run our IT cloud migration project?" And so I, at that point, was able to stop my part time role and focus solely on the business. I ran that for a few years. My background is IT. I did a lot of software licensing, compliance, that kind of thing. So I did a lot of that for them. And then it was actually only at that point that I then had time in my day to start networking. And I didn't even know about networking. Like, I didn't know it existed. I don't think you do when you work in
No.
corporate offices. So, and I love talking. Hard to believe, maybe, but I absolutely loved it. So networking
I'm
was just
yeah, I'm not saying anything.
no, it's probably safer. So, and literally, it was there was a lady that connected with me on LinkedIn. She said, "Let's meet up." She just gave me all this advice on networking and what I need to do. And she's like a really good friend of mine. Nearly 9 years on, we do a lot together. And yeah, she just like introduced me to this whole new world. So I was doing the IT, and then I had a friend come to me saying, "Can you redo my website?" And I knew WordPress, so I knew I could. And he said, "Can you host it?" I'm like, "Give me 5 minutes, quick Google. Yeah, that looks easy. I can do that." And I started up a hosting account and created his. And if I look back now, the website wasn't great, but it was my first one.
Mm.
Luckily, that business got bought out, so that website isn't around anymore. And it just went from there. And then eventually, I dropped the IT. I just got a bit sick of it, and trying to do two things was a bit hard to explain to somebody in 60 seconds what you did.
Mhm.
So I dropped the IT, and then let me add on SEO, social media, and all our other services after that. So yeah, it's kind of growing organically, really. It's kind of taken its own shape, and clients kind of got me in different directions, if you like. So
So was it very much a case of when somebody came up to you and said, Tracy, can you do this for me? You would sit there and think, let me have a look. And
mm,
then you'd work it out and then you go, yeah, I can do that for you. And that's how your portfolio expanded.
yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if it's something like someone will come to me and say, "Can you do paid ads?" I'm like, "No, that's a whole art in itself." But anything else, I love learning, and I wouldn't ever say yes if I wasn't confident I could do it. But I just go away and work it out, and then I'll go back to them going, "Yep, absolutely, we can do this, and we can add that on." And it's just, and then I've had experience then over the years, and now really confident offering all those services to other people.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So again, did a lot of that stuff come out of the networking that you were doing? Was it you would go to a networking meeting, you would talk to people, people would obviously get to know you, get to like you, get to trust you, and as a result of that, they ask you a question. And that was it all through the networking that the business expanded initially?
Um, Networking, and then clients that I had, because I would do their website and I was hosting it, and then they were saying, "Oh, can you add blogs?" Yeah, I can add your blogs, send them over, and we'll add them on. And then the next thing you know is like, "Could you write the blogs?" Well,
Mm.
my team had started to expand by that point, so I'm like, "Yes, I've got someone who can write blogs." And so it's slowly kind of growing based on, probably 9 times out of 10 is what our clients are asking for, is what
Yeah,
we've added on.
because I would describe you pretty much as a full stack agency now, full stack digital agency. Is
Yes.
that a fair description?
Yeah, yeah. The only thing, like I say, we don't do is paid ads, but then
Yeah,
I've got people that I can refer that to. So I'm quite happy to help clients in that. But yeah, everything else we've got covered.
fantastic. So let's revisit the networking thing.
Hmm.
So you and I both were involved in a networking organization called
Yes,
BNI for a long
yes.
period of time. Um, the one thing I loved about my time in BNI was the learning element to it. Although it was great for generating business and that was the purpose that we were doing it through referrals and that side of things. So how did you fall into BNI and obviously you almost had a career path within BNI as well. So how did that all come about?
So I had a couple of people that I'd met at other networking groups mention BNI and invited me along to join or to visit, and that was actually during 2020. So we were in lockdown; it was all online, and so I visited a couple of groups online and just fell. And funnily enough, one of the ones that I turned up as, which is the one I ended up joining, I was part of a book club, an online book club, and they were all in this one group, and I had no idea that they were BNI members.
Hmm.
So when I turned up and I was like, oh my God, I know all these people. And then I applied, they just approved it straight away because I thought, oh, I liked that group.
Hmm.
Um, and then from doing that, and I got involved in that, I started in the August, and by the April, I was VP. And I had the or vice president for people that don't know BNI. So I helped run the meetings and do all the stats and the analytics side of it. And then Jonathan, who owned the franchise at the time, had approached me saying he'd really like to talk to me about a director consultant role. And so I ended up taking that on after I finished my VP. I did VP for a year, and then I took on the DC role and then started looking after 3 chapters. I had one to start with, then got another, then the third one came along. And then it was about that time that I got approached by head office saying, you actually, I know what it was. They sent out a questionnaire to all the DC saying, what do you enjoy about being a DC? And is there anything else that you'd like to do? Well, I put down, I'm quite interested in just finding out a bit more about the MD role. They were on the phone within seconds.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's like, oh, right, okay, I didn't quite mean now, but okay. And then took over MD for Oxford. So, and I did that, and I did all of them alongside each other for a while, and then
Yeah.
eventually dropped the DC, just focused on the MD. And then I got to the point that's like, actually my business was kind of staying still because there was a lot of work involved in the MD role, and so I stepped back from that, and then my business has grown since then, but only because I didn't have the time to put into it.
Mm. I think this is the thing with networking as well, isn't it? That you can get so embroiled in it and you
Mm,
can get so, I suppose, carried away with it that you can
yeah.
spend all of your time networking and very little of your time working.
Yes.
And it's about understanding. And one of the things that I talk to people about actually is knowing when it get to a point, you have to know when to stop at certain things.
Yes.
And it's really difficult to do that because you enjoy it. You enjoy the company of people. You enjoy what you're doing. You enjoy seeing people flourish.
Yep.
And then you look at your own stuff and you think, hang on a minute, I'm giving all this to everybody else and I'm not getting a great deal out myself. So yeah, I totally, having been through that journey personally myself as well.
Yeah, and I think when everybody starts business, you go to all networking groups because you're trying to get your name out there. And actually, what I did like about that, and BNI was great for that, is I now know so many people that when my clients come to me saying, "Do you know somebody who can do X, Y, Z?" I'm like, "Yes, I can. Yes, I
Mhm.
do." And I love that connecting. So they thank you because you've just made it easy for them to find somebody. So I like that element. But then you do get to a point where you start to assess, actually, I need to be in the right groups who are the people that are liaising with the people I'm trying to reach, because I'm not
Mm.
selling to the room, I'm selling to who they know. But actually, if you'll end up in so many groups and you're like, actually, they're all the wrong target market. And as much as it is, like you say, hard to pull away, it's like I can't spend time because it's just dead time. If I
Mm.
So you start to get sort of quite strategic, I suppose, and where you end up and where you go. but
Yeah.
it's a great learning curve. It's great.
It's a fantastic learning curve. So, as a seasoned networker,
Mm,
as you are, what advice would you give to somebody who has really they've just got to that point where they've given up their corporate job for whatever reason. It could
yeah.
be that they've taken redundancy, or it could be that they've just had enough of the corporate rat race, or whatever it is. They're very good at what they do. They've decided they're going to set themselves up in business, and they've decided they've heard about this thing where people meet in a pub once a week or once a month, and they're going to go along. What advice would you give to somebody who is a networking,
Novice,
networking
beginner.
virgin, I suppose,
Yeah,
probably the right
yeah.
way to put it. What advice would you give?
I would say to look at what's local to start with. There's so many groups out there, and they all offer one or two, most of them, visits before you have to join. I would try out a whole load of them because they're all really different. The people are different. The mix is different. Local chambers are a great way to get involved. You meet a whole load of local business owners anyway, but actually they're depending, I suppose, on who your target market is. If you're after sort of more corporate, then great. But I would just say go along to all of them. And the other thing is it's really good to practice because you're going to be nervous. You might even have a script that you read just to try and get your points across. As you have your 60 seconds, and it is a bit terrifying at first. So you can use those to kind of practice and see how other people do it to kind of learn from. I think would be a don't just go to
Yeah.
one. Definitely.
Yeah, my very first experience of a networking event. I don't know if I've ever told you this actually. My first experience of a networking event was back
Mm,
in 2001.
right.
And it was a Chamber of Commerce thing back in Buckinghamshire where we used to live, and it was a hot day, really hot day. It was the middle of July,
Mm,
and our air conditioning in our office had broken down, and it'd been a stressful day, and I was late getting there, and all of the other stuff that goes with it. But I'd signed up, so I said I'd go, and I walked into it was a hotel, and I walked through the double doors of the hotel into the foyer, and I could hear this thrum of conversation and the laughter, and and all that gubbins that goes on. And I took one step inside. I took one step 90 degrees to the right, another step 90 degrees to the right, and I walked straight out the door. And that was my very first
no,
experience in networking. Yeah, I
really, you didn't.
literally, no, I bottled it,
Oh,
absolutely bottled
wow.
it.
Oh, I didn't
I
realize.
got home, and obviously Joe, my wife.
Yeah.
I got home, and she said to me, "Oh, I thought you were going to be late home tonight." And I went, "Yeah, well, busy day in the office." "Well, you were going to this networking thing." "Oh, yeah, busy day in the office, and it was hot and everything else. I felt uncomfortable, and da 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 da." And so I just thought I'd come home, and then she goes, "So you bottled it then?"
She could see right
It
through
straight
you.
through me. Yeah, I am a bit transparent like that.
Yes.
And I went, "Yeah, I suppose I did." And she goes, "Well, you need to do this, so you're going to have to go back next month." So I went back the following month. And I'll never forget this guy, a chap called Chris. I literally walked in the door, same experience. This time it's the middle of August.
Yep.
Again, equally hot.
Yep.
Same experience, thrum of conversation. Started to sit there and think to myself, "Oh God, I don't need to be here." So started my by now patented 180-degree walk. And I took my first step, and this guy walked up to me, Chris, and he said, "Hello, mate." And I'm like, "Oh God, this person's talking to me." No. And he goes, "I thought you'd come back. I've been waiting for you."
Oh no,
And he
so
goes,
you were
"Let me introduce."
spotted.
He goes, "Let me introduce you to some people."
Oh,
And that was about 6 o'clock that evening.
yep.
And we left at about quarter to 10. And
Wow.
I was the last of three people to leave the room, and I
Yeah.
never looked back. And I think that's the big thing for me is when I go networking, it's about spotting the people that are uncomfortable, because like you say, it is
Mm.
nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
We're walking into a room full of people who all seem to know each other.
Yeah.
They all seem to be really successful in their business. They all seem to be flying, and you walk in there and you think, "Oh my God, what the hell am I doing in here?" And that imposter syndrome kicks in so badly, which is
Yeah.
exactly what I had.
Yeah.
And so I look for those people. I look now specifically for people who are at their first meeting, don't really know what they're doing, feel a bit out of the comfort zone, and I'm the one that goes up and talks to them.
Yeah,
So
lovely.
and that for me is a big thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, networking is a massive part of what we do.
Mm.
But it's not everything, and but it does get you those contacts that you're building and you're needing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, it is it's an interesting one. But this isn't about me, this is about you, as I rabbit on. So obviously you've grown HDS over
Yes.
a 9-year period.
Yep.
Um, what would you say is probably the most transformative thing that's happened within your business in the last 9 years? What's the biggest thing that's made the biggest difference to you?
Oh, getting a team.
Oh,
Get,
wow. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
most definitely. Because I mean, I love all aspects of business.
Yeah.
I love figures. I love so when it was just me and I was doing it all, I was really like really happy. I'm happy now, but I loved it. And but you can only take, there's a limit. There's only so many clients I could have taken. And so then you start to outsource when you've got the money and you bring people in. So that was great. So I outsourced that, but actually having my team around me, and there's 6 of us now, so I've got 5 other ladies, and they're just amazing. They're so lovely. It's really nice to kind of feel part of a bigger group, and they've all got their skill sets. Then they look after the retained clients, and they all do their different elements, and it's nice because I don't want to keep it all to me. I want it to be kind of a team event,
Mhm.
if that's the right word. But it's just freed me up to kind of look at the business from a higher level down and
Yeah.
kind of go, right, I want to grow this. I want to expand it. How many more people can we help? How can we reach more people? What can we be offering? And I've got the capacity now to take on those clients because I've got the team that can take on more.
Yeah, you're not in the weeds so much.
No, no.
No.
So,
And that,
and I think that was the game changer. I mean, Celia's been with me 3 years, and then, which I didn't realize, we had a team meeting this week, and she's like, "Oh, but we're all introducing ourselves to our latest joinee," and she's like, "Oh, I've been here 3 years," and Tony's like, "Oh, I've nearly done 2," and Sarah's nearly done 1. I'm like, "Really? Oh my God!" Like it's just blows my mind how
yeah.
fast it's gone.
The last sort of 18 months for you have been quite, I suppose, there's been a lot of transition within the business, the way that you're running the business now.
Yes.
So are you making a really conscious effort to take yourself out of the day-to-day side of things, so you're managing the business now? Is that what you're, is that, has that had a big effect?
That yes, hugely. So that is at the moment it's still me that does the initial build on WordPress, and then I've the team like Tanya will then just run with it and she'll build out the rest of it. So I'm still involved in some of the initial bits, but I'm starting to hand that over and palm that off, and I'm kind of looking at the processes and our systems and just trying to get a really nice structure so that in my mind, if that's all kind of automated and everyone's got their work and it's working, it's scalable.
Hmm.
Whereas everything was relying on me. Everything sits in my inbox and it waits for me to get to it before it gets done. And I don't like clients feeling like they're having to chase me or they're waiting and I'm just not getting back to them. So putting all this structure in actually has taken a load off my shoulders, and I feel like we're more proactive and we're starting to get into a really nice just a really nice position. I think that it can just naturally grow now, which has been amazing.
So what was the, um, I suppose, catalyst behind you making things more automated? Because obviously the business was going well, the business was growing, you were bringing on regular clients, you were doing a lot of work. What was the moment where you probably sat back and thought, I need to automate this?
I It was actually a webinar that you had run with one of your other
All
experts
right,
in
okay.
BBA. So David Langley in
Yeah.
optics, he ran this webinar talking about processes and systems. And what I love, like I sat there like a good schoolgirl thinking, oh, good, I'm using that, I'm doing that. So all the things he was running through, and he goes, but then we can automate it. And I'm like, oh, what? We can automate it? And just knowing that not only is stuff going to happen without me having to touch everything, the biggest pull for me is the fact that behind that automation is those touch points. I'm not necessarily asking for reviews, or I'm not checking in after 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I kind of do it ad hoc, but just to have that, I think it just makes us look more professional. And the fact that that can all just happen, then I'm kind of giving all this extra, touch points and value, and, asking and checking in almost without thinking. Well, I'm not thinking, it's doing it. But then
Yeah,
we can have those conversations, because if someone's not happy, I'd rather know now than a year down the line they go, oh, we're going somewhere else.
yeah. So would you say, so obviously the automation has really improved your customer service.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's improved your customer service, it's improved your efficiency,
Yep,
it's given you time back in your diary
yep.
to run the business. Is there, have you completed the automation, or are there other things that you're striving for?
Um, we're almost there. We're just last sort of week or two of the final touches going in. Onboarding forms are in the system, but we're about to turn those on. So then when someone joins, the onboarding forms automatically get sent. They can fill them all in online. We start to get the info we need, all of that kind of stuff. So we're really close to the whole lot being turned on. And then after that, the next step would be to remove my name from any of the project cards. So we have like a project board, and my name's against some of the initial setup pieces. So my next step is to go, right, okay, let's take me out of that so I can just be there and kind of help the team and grow the business.
Fantastic. So you've got a strategy behind what you're doing, you've got a goal behind what you're doing, you're working towards all those sorts of things.
Yep.
Surely the beach and a pina colada can't be too far off the horizon
And
then
and
for you.
and the odd cruise maybe.
And the odd cruise, maybe, yeah. Or the odd two
I do
month
like a
trip back,
cruise.
the odd 2 month trip back to New Zealand, or
Well, there you go.
yeah, there you go.
You can work from anywhere, right? That's the joy
Yeah,
of
well, you can
today.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
You can be a digital nomad, Tracy.
I know. So,
That,
and I
and
will be this year. So, New Zealand
that,
year this year.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So again, when you're looking at the business as a general rule, now obviously I know you're very analytical in the way that you work. Do you put a lot of, are you measuring your business as you're running it with a lot of numbers behind it? They're giving you lots of information, and if you are, what numbers are the ones that really float your boat? What are the ones that you really look for?
So, I am monitoring numbers. I'm tracking each quarter, kind of where I am against my goal as to where I want to be for the year. I look at my conversion rate to kind of see how that's going. Actually, funnily enough, the system I'm using now, Go High Level, is also telling me how long it's taking to close, which is
Mhm.
quite an interesting stat. Um, so I do monitor the numbers and the profit margin,
Mhm.
which now that I've got the team, so before I was kind of running at cost. It was my time per hour, and that's what it was. So now I'm actually getting to the point where, with having the team, I am starting to make more money on some of the retainers, which is great. So it
Mhm.
just values my company at a higher rate. So when I'm looking at a 10-year exit plan, so I kind of want to get to a decent figure. That's my pension, part of my pension. So I'm starting to plan that and just work that and make sure that I can hit those targets.
Wow, looking to retire at 40.
Oh,
Uh,
I wish. You're
yeah.
very kind. Hang on,
Oh, well, yeah.
it's getting warm in
I
here.
I know how to be a charmer.
Oh dear.
What's really interesting? So what have you done? Have you structured your offering differently? Because obviously the business has evolved quite significantly over the last sort of really probably 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
You sort of made that conscious effort to concentrate on it. You've got a definite goal as to where you want to be heading. You know your numbers brilliantly. Um, your customer service levels have gone through the roof. You're basically, now sitting as a managing director of the business, which is the perfect position to be in. And you've got your you've got a very good overall view of everything that's going on within the business. So how has your offering changed? Because you, I know with digital marketing, you've got so many different facets to it. You've got the website, you've got the SEO, you've got um, can't think
Social
of anything,
media.
social media, all the other stuff that goes with in the digital marketing umbrella. So how are you managing all of your clients through that, and how have you changed doing what you're doing?
So we used to offer everything individually. So we get someone that just wanted a bit of social media, or they just wanted, I don't know, a bit of website maintenance. And especially once we started adding on SEO, if they just want SEO, but we're not necessarily doing anything on the website, or when there's no social media going on, it, I just felt it was all very disjointed. And we can't really take a client from, you know, down here and kind of struggling and not getting leads to up here when we have not got control over the whole lot. One of the biggest issues I suppose we had when we were doing websites, and I've still got websites now that are on the go a year later, and because we're not getting, I don't know, might be the content might not be coming through, what's coming through in drips and drabs, and then we've not got images. And so the offering now is we will do the whole lot for you. We will do the copywriting. We will design it. We'll, you know, wireframe it and give you some pictures before we even start building, so you can see what it's going to look like, and then we start to fill it out. But by taking control of actually saying we will do the copying for you, the copywriting, and even if they want to start with some bullet points and we just expand on it, it just means it's going to go faster. And it's a fresh pair of eyes. You know, sometimes it's quite nice having someone else write that for you. And I have got a copywriter that does it, so it's not something that we're just making up. I've got a copywriter that will do all of our websites.
Yeah.
So that's game changer, because we can get it back in a week.
Yeah. And it
So
means, yeah, and it also means that because people are going into I suppose, a package system rather than
yeah,
everything else,
yeah,
they know how far their money's going, they know how their money's being spent, they can see
yes,
what they're getting value for money. And
exactly.
you almost be putting yourself, I suppose, as a way, you're like their external marketing department, or certainly their external digital marketing department.
Yes, yeah, and that's what I love. I mean, in one element, I kind of miss being part of a corporate IT department and being part of a bigger organization. So actually, when we take on all their services, I do feel like I am there, a part of their business, and you get to know them and what they do and how they operate and who the team members are, and then you feel like you're part of that little family as well as, you know. So I that, for me, that's how I work. I work better if I, you know, really get to know somebody and understand what they're trying to achieve, what they're wanting, what they're looking for.
So your typical client base then must really be businesses that are probably gone through that startup phase,
Yes.
and they are beginning to take on employees,
Yep.
and they're beginning to grow, but they need to have that marketing function working in the background. But
Yes.
they wouldn't necessarily want to maybe bring in a marketing team or marketing people
Yep.
that wanting to outsource that.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not quite at that level that they're big enough to bring
Yeah.
that in house. And but they 9 times out of 10 they've done their website themselves when they first started, and like you say, 3-4 years in, they might be rebranding, but they could just be, right, it's time for a refresh. We're now doing something a bit different, as we all do. You start off doing one thing and you kind of change. So they kind of want to, you know, refresh on the website and add on their new staff members, and then, yeah, really push it. You know, they've probably become VAT registered, so now they're wanting to present themselves a bit differently. And like you say, they're looking for those leads and just be out there and in front of people. So yeah, we do a
So
lot.
what does your typical client profile look like then?
So we do a lot in the finance industry,
Yeah.
and we've got a few legal, in the legal industry as well. We've got pharmaceutical. We were doing IT and marketing, but all of those have brought them in-house now. So finance and legal definitely are two areas where they do outsource. Um, and then we have a lot of individual. We've got, you know, landscapers, roofers, dog breeder. Like, we have a lot of, but they're a decent sized business. But we have a lot of variety, which I love. We're just doing a hotel at the moment, which is really exciting. So yeah, it's varied, which is what I like.
Do you ever get called in to do things like so you're talking about the hotel because you can do like obviously the 3D tours through buildings and stuff where they produce a dollhouse and all that sort of stuff, which is really cool. Do you ever get asked to sort of do that, or do they provide those collateral things for you?
So with the hotel, there's a photographer who's doing photography and videography for them on site. So they're doing that kind of stuff. We're just taking the images and building it out for them. So yeah, we just connections. They generally ask for stuff. We've got photographers that we use as well locally. So people just come to us and ask, and we just connect them.
Right, okay. So you're there basically to do the digital side of their marketing
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
So this leads me on to the question with obviously marketing existed before the internet. I know that's going to be a shock to a lot of people watching this.
Yes, the good old
Um,
days.
in the days when
You got
marketing,
faxes.
yeah, exactly. I remember a fax.
I can still hear the sound that used to be behind
Yeah,
me.
yeah, exactly. I remember dial up and all
Yes.
those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But what sort of marketing channels are you using for your business? So again, somebody's sat there, they're looking at somebody like yourself, and they can see that there's an exceptionally capable person who's built a really, really good business, and she's flying and she's doing very, very well. And you know, a lot of people have this theory with marketing that they've just got to do social media, social media, social media, social media, and nothing else. Now, what other stuff do you do that sits outside of maybe the traditional digital market and focuses on sort of other marketing? What other marketing are you doing for yourself?
So networking,
Yeah,
definitely. Online business directories are great.
right.
So they are usually free. So, I mean, you can create an account with Bing. I think Yellow Pages, I think is still around online. Obviously, Google's big. So you can create all these free profiles just to help in the search results that you come up. Other than that, ours is just networking. We do a lot
You
because
do webinars as well, don't you?
I do webinars. Yes, good
Yeah,
shout. Do
yeah.
webinars. So and advertising those. We're big on LinkedIn, so we'll advertise them on there. I think also writing. So Google doesn't like static websites. So if you can add a blog or something to your website regularly, even if it's once a month, it doesn't have to be weekly, and you don't have to be posting daily on social media. It's just about being consistent.
Mhm.
And the more that you can kind of get out there, the more you're going to come up in search results. It's
Yeah.
it's it's you don't have to. Yeah, we do twice a week on Facebook and Instagram. We do once a month on our website, a newsletter. We do a LinkedIn newsletter once a week, but that's we don't. It's not a daily chore.
Do you do any email marketing or anything like that?
No, I don't. But then that's only because I don't like receiving
Hmm.
cold emails. So it's not something I'm going to do, and I don't encourage my clients to do it. It's kind of like we all receive them, and you just delete them, or it's like I didn't even sign up to this, and you just mark them as spam. Now, the more you do that, the more it's going to damage your domain,
Yeah.
so and your email, deliverability. So I don't. I will only contact people who I've connected with LinkedIn and we've been chatting, and I'll message on there. Or if they've signed up for an event, then I get their email address. And at that point, we only just send them reminders, or we'll send them the recording. We
Mhm.
don't spam people because, it just doesn't sit right with me.
No, that's fair enough.
Mm,
It's because you again, there's so much noise out there.
yeah,
You hear all the time, you must be doing email marketing, you must be doing trade shows, you must be doing
yeah,
this, you must be doing that. And a lot of marketing doesn't need to cost a lot of money. Like you say, you can sign up on a lot of these directory websites for free,
yeah,
which can provide a backlink to your website
yeah.
or whatever. And that there are the various different sort of opportunities that people can be operating. Um, so obviously the business is doing really, really well. You're growing. You've got a fantastic client base, and that side of things. What's your sort of, if you could be sat there, you're gonna like this question, Tracy.
Okay, good.
If you could be sat there, sort of, I don't know, 5 years from now,
Yep.
what would you like people to be saying about Hampton Digital Services?
Just that we're lovely people. I mean, I don't want to hear like negative stuff, and if I ever hear that, I'll be like gutted, because we go out of our way to help people, and I'm really lucky that all of my team are the same kind of, same values, same sort of, people I just want to help. And so I think if people are kind of like, you have to go and use HDS, they've been amazing, they get us, they've helped us with our lead generation, that would just be amazing.
Mm,
So yeah, just, and I mean, I don't need to be international. I've got no plans to, I'm quite like, I've got clients all around the country, but equally just to be famous in Woking, I'm fine with that. Or Surrey, let's say Surrey. Woking's a bit small, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I'm not after the world, but I just want people to be really kind and go, actually, they're
mm.
who you need to speak to.
And then I suppose this is probably the last question, really. Why is it? What is it? What is it you really get out of what you do? What's the thing that really floats your boat? What is the thing that makes you get up in the morning, that gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling? Because I know to you it doesn't feel like a job.
No, it doesn't. No. Um, Gosh, I see, and this is where it'd be tricky to pull myself out from the business, because I love building websites. Absolutely love it. And that's actually, I think it's, so there's a couple of things actually. It's when someone explains to you their, what they're after, and I turn around and say, right, well, we can take your domain and we can manage your domain settings, we can do all your hosting, and we can bring it all in together so it's in one place. Watching them, they're just like, oh, okay, thank you. Like, that's amazing, because it panics people.
Hmm.
And I like to feel needed,
Hmm.
suppose, and so they kind of like, oh my god, that's amazing, and appreciated is probably a better word. And so the fact that they can just offload that to me, they give me all their passwords, like, oh, please just sort it out, and then they are just like, oh my god, that's amazing, a whole load is off my shoulders, because I don't have to worry about that anymore. And I like that. That's like awesome. I'm I'm needed,
Hmm.
and that feeling I love. So,
Yeah,
and then when you give them the website and they're just like, oh my God, I love it, that's the other tick.
yeah. It's that feeling, isn't it, of actually making people's lives better.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's quite a powerful emotion for wanting to feel appreciated, but actually when you sit there in front of a client and you know you've made a difference to them, it's
yes.
huge, huge dopamine hit, I suppose, in one way.
Yeah, it is. And I think when it's what you do day in and day out, you don't appreciate
No,
that
you
it's
don't.
difficult, that it's tricky for some people, or that, like, so some people, they say to me it's a dark art, and I'm kind of like, no, it isn't, let me teach you. And they're like, no, you just do it.
Do
I'm
it, get
like, oh,
out.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want any more of that rubbish. Yeah.
No, but you don't appreciate, I think, like you say, it's not a job to me. Like, I absolutely love what I'm doing. I like all the aspects. I love the systems. I love processes and just the mechanics of how a business runs. I mean, that's
Yeah.
exciting in itself, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it just leaves me to say, Tracy, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Obviously, you and I know each other very, very well, but how can people get in touch with you if they've watched this and they think, "Do you know what, this lady seems exactly what I need to help me with my business?" What's the best way of people for getting in touch with you?
Probably via the website, to be honest, hamptondigitalservices.com. There's all our information's in there, and there's a nice big orange button at the top that says book a call, and calls are free. Let's have a chat and just see if we can help.
Yeah, and what I'll do, I'll put the links on the back end of this as
Brilliant.
well, so people can see the links on the back
Yeah,
end.
and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
by all means sign up for our newsletter. We give away a lot of information. If
Yeah.
you're interested in digital marketing and you just want to learn how to do it yourself, you'll get everything you need from everything that we put out.
Fantastic. That's brilliant.
Cool.
Well, Tracy,
Well, thank you.
thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I really do
Thank you.
appreciate it. And have yourself a fantastic rest of your day.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. You too.
No, take care. See you later.
See you later. Bye.